right, now being 6:15, it's the July 25th meeting of the Plympton Board of Selectmen. We had a brief executive session at 5:45. We're now in open session. First item of business is granting of solar easement for Dennett Elementary School rooftop solar project. Liz, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. So this is yet another box to check with respect to the project for getting the rooftop solar placed on Dennett. What we're looking for this evening is a motion from you. It would be a motion to grant a solar easement for the solar project at Dennett Elementary School. And this would run concurrently with the lease and power purchase agreement, and it would also terminate when both of those are concluded. And this is just for the town-owned land that's around the school. Basically, it's a negative easement, so it's saying that we will not do something. It means that we won't do anything to that land that would cast a shadow over the solar panels. And our council's already looked at it. It was at his suggestion that we put this on the agenda to get a vote.
So Liz, when does this agreement terminate?
It's a 20-year agreement. We're still working out all the terms of it, but it would run, the easement would run as long as the agreements do.
Okay, as long as the agreement stands?
Correct. And those are still pending right now, some final language edits and everything. You'll be seeing that at an upcoming meeting.
Okay, so we're just granting the solar easement at this point. We still have to sign off on that document. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any concerns, John or Mark, about taking this action?
No, I'm very in favor of moving this thing along and getting it going. So
getting it going. Okay. All right. Anything, John? Are you good?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a motion that we grant a solar easement for the solar project at the Dennett Elementary School on the rooftop that will run concurrently with the lease and power agreement, or as long as the lease and power agreement stands. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay. All right. Next item, meeting format, remote meeting provision extended through March 31st, 2023. So we all saw the legislation that was recently passed, which provides for us to continue with the remote meeting format through the holiday season, and will end at this point, the end of March. So any thoughts on continuing with remote?
I would like us to see us in person as long as we can broadcast it and have Zoom available.
All right. What are your thoughts, Mark?
I hate to be contrary. I think ultimately a hybrid model is going to be great. I don't think we're ready. I don't think we have the technology. I don't think we have the staffing yet to do it. I'm very strongly in favor of continuing with Zoom for the time being. I think it offers the most opportunity for participation. It's certainly the way of the future. I think in-person meeting and live broadcasting will be something we should be heading toward. Lots of towns are going to be in this, and I'd like to have a little more time to see what the next legislation is going to be. I'd like a little more time to see what help the state is going to give us in paying for all of this. I would recommend for those that haven't seen it, the Massachusetts Selectmen Association last year, July 28th, had a webinar on this, and it made it very clear to me that we have some of the technology ready to go, but not nearly enough. It made it very clear to me that the towns that have done this so far have felt like they had to have a staff person as well to kind of deal with the Zoom and deal with the cameras and deal with the presentation of material. So not to ramble on too much, the time will come for this. For the moment, I think for the convenience of townspeople, for the convenience of volunteers and town officials, simply staying with Zoom for the moment until we get this spiffed up. One thing that came out of that Mass Selectmen Association meeting was the degree to which takes quite a bit of time, quite a bit of trial and error, and quite a bit of evolution of the technology to get this fully up and going. I feel like we've got a lot of other things going on right now, and this mode of operating works pretty well. Particularly works well as witnessed by how many more visitors we've had come to our meetings this way. So I'm in favor of a hybrid ultimately. I just don't think we're ready right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I think we've got a long way to go. I did attend a hybrid meeting. Old Colony Planning Council is really ahead of the curve on this one. And it was awesome. It was just amazing. The people at home were all up on the screen, and they had a camera that would go to whoever the speaker was. It rotated around the room, and there's I just don't think we're ready at this point. I agree with you on that. I'm hoping that there's some grant money that comes down the pipe for this so that we're able to get the technology we need. I think it would be great to be hybrid. I hope that is our goal, but I think I agree. We need some more time and to figure out how to make this work for Plympton. I think at this point, we've got much better participation from residents who have concerns than we've ever had in the past. We'd be lucky to have one or two people attend a meeting. Now we've got, a screen full of people, which is wonderful. If, they've got concerns to express, or if they're interested in the topic we're discussing. So I agree with you, John. I think we need to get to hybrid. I just don't think we're ready quite yet.
Well, I'm a little amazed that Plymouth, Carver, and Duxbury are doing this. Also, that 58 has said that they can do this with no problem. The only issue is the Wi-Fi. And they say we need an extender, which we're looking into. Given that they're the ones who are saying, and Mark, you're the representative, it would seem to me this is something we should be able to implement fairly soon. I think looking at a WebAir a year ago is just old news. I think towns are doing it. I don't know, as far as the camera, we have the setup in the room. We have the whiteboard that could be the Zoom platform. So I just don't understand. I think we should be moving forward. As far as the number of people attending, we have always had good attendance when there is an issue. Mm-hmm. And Carver, the North Carver project is why people are jumping on. Mm-hmm. And I think they'd be in the room. There might even be more of them if we were in person. I remember back when we had the Heather's Path people, we must have had 25, 30 people. So I think it's really the number of people who are participating is based on the issue that's in front of them. The other thing is that there are seniors who are still not technically advanced who could watch the broadcast and would feel comfortable doing that. I know a couple of them have spoken to me. And if the technology is there and other towns are doing it, and we have the Area 58 company that says they can do it with an adjustment of the Wi-Fi if needed, I don't know why we wouldn't go forward.
John, I hear you. I would just reiterate what is surely the case is towns that have done this have made clear that it's kind of a trial and error thing, an evolving thing, recognizing that we have to pick our battles a little bit, that there are only so many things that any of us or the board as a whole can do. I think our time would be better spent on other projects right now when we have a very good platform here. It will only get easier with time as more and more towns get involved. So again, I'm
disappointed, and there's no sense we kill this. There's 6 participants, 4 plus Bree, and I assume the Express is on. If that's what we're looking for, fine. But I intend to bring this up again. At some point, we need to have a vote.
Well, why don't we plan on bringing it up again, maybe the first of the year? And seeing where we are, seeing where the technology is, and because it's right now scheduled to end in March, we're going to need to be ready.
Yeah, I would say if Area 58 comes back and says they're ready, that's when we should have the meeting. And if that's before the first of the year, then so be it.
All right, Mark, are you okay with revisiting this when we have more information?
Yeah, glad to revisit it. I mean, I think there are other issues, including staffing issues. And lots of towns are doing this, and they have a staff member who is just taking care of the audiovisual, the presentation of documents. It's what we don't have. Trying to run a meeting.
We do have. I'm sorry. We do have. That's part of Area 58. You keep saying that, but they are the staff.
No, absolutely not.
No, I'm sorry. I disagree.
John, that is absolutely incorrect. The other towns that have been talking about needing staffing are really talking about two staff, one, the cable, and then two, the committee staff official that deals with the dynamics of running the meeting. All of us, the challenge of running a meeting, of being the chair of a meeting, of concentrating on the debate at the time, and also dealing with the technology is a big deal. There isn't enough manpower, women power here right now to do those things and do them well.
Well, I hear you, and I think you're overstating the case, and I don't agree with you. So let's leave it at that.
Okay, so no vote, we'll just continue, or would you prefer that we take a vote on this to?
No, I think we
remote?
I think we need Area 58 to come back and say they can do it, and here's how it would work. And then at that time, we should take a vote.
All right, well, we don't really need to vote now because it's already been approved. So we're just continuing with the remote until new information is presented that requires us to reevaluate our position on this one. So next item is board goals for FY23 and projects and priorities list. So Liz put together a nice list for us based on our discussion at our last meeting about trying to pare down our projects and priorities list to several goals. And we were going to plan to come back today to talk about any other goal ideas we had. We had talked about the age qualified affordable housing opportunities. We all seem to be on board with that as a goal for FY 2023. Any other suggestions for goals for us to work on this year?
Yeah, I do. I'm glad we're looking kind of at this as maybe two documents. I kind of see it as our priorities list that we're talking about right now. I think the parking lot that we've used in the past maybe could continue simply as a list of things we don't want to lose along the way. That's the way the parking lot was envisioned when we first started. If we were going to end up with a list of Board of Selectmen's priorities, the things that I'd be particularly interested in having on our list, just in the forefront of our minds, is one would be land issues. It looks like we're going to have Turkey Swamp to deal with over the next few months. Certainly some kind of obtaining some kind of land for housing so Plymptonians could stay in town. That would be part of the land issue. I think that's a very hard project, but a project worth putting some energy and attention into this year. I wonder about a category called technology, which actually one might deal with the subject we just concluded about meetings. I think another piece of technology might well be the website, and seeing what we could do about our town website being used as a source of information so that some of the discussions that go on, for example, in Plympton Helping Plympton, that are kind of based on that there's a fair amount of information that would solve a lot of those challenges. And I think our website may be a way to do it. I think North Carver's going to be on the forefront of our minds probably for an entire year. And then the last one, if we're going to have four, is I think a continuing evolution of the budget process. So I put those, there are four things I'm interested in. You guys might well have other ideas, and absolutely open to hear what everyone has to say.
What do you have, John?
I would put technology on there, and I would include website under that. I think it's inclusive as part of it, but we can spread it separated. I'm not hung up on that. I would definitely put the firehouse as a project program that impacts, and it might be, when we talk about the firehouse, we find that in fact what we're talking about is the town campus infrastructure or town center infrastructure. I know some people don't like the word campus. And that has everything we get into forces us in many directions, because you're talking about septic, you're talking about water. And this kind of brings us to a point where the gel is the firehouse. If we can afford it, that's what we think is the main priority to go through. But it does affect so many other things. The parking at the townhouse is atrocious, as we know. We do want to keep the ball fields. So I would wrap it up. Maybe it's the townhouse infrastructure that we want, townhouse center infrastructure, and have firehouse as a category within that. I also like the idea of land for affordable housing for seniors. And that's something I'm working on as part of the townhouse committee. And it's something that interests me. So definitely project I feel strong pull towards.
All right, so it sounds like we all agree on land use for some type of age-restricted affordable housing. Mark, you've got land issues, sounds like more for conservation, but also for with the hope of some affordable housing?
Well, I mean, there's two. It's extremely likely we'll be moving forward with Turkey Swamp purchase, so that's part of it. That's a multi-factor project. I think, yeah, I'm also working on the land for affordable housing, cluster housing, and following some leads, as it sounds like John is. And I know, Christine, you have strong interest in that, and Liz as well. So I think we're in agreement on that. And I just see that is, so yeah, I've just clumped those together under land issues.
Okay, so land issues, and then the affordable housing would then, would that fall under land issues, or would we have that as a standalone?
No,
Okay.
I see that as the first step on that is identifying
The land.
The
Okay.
land, yeah.
All right, and then we're all in agreement about technology. I like the townhouse center infrastructure.
Yes.
We all know there's septic issues and other issues with the townhouse. Mark,
Can we
do you
call?
want
Can we
that as a
call?
goal?
Yeah, can we call that Center City Campus?
Center City.
Well, that would tick off everybody.
No. But thank you for the suggestion. All right, and then we have got North Carver on as a long-term to follow. We've got fire station feasibility study as a long-term to follow on what Liz gave us. We've got the solar 61 Upland as a long-term to follow. And then she had suggested continuing with shared services opportunities. So those would be, I don't know if we would need to have North Carver as a goal to follow that, because it's more of a long-term thing just to stay on top of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. And then, so it sounds like we just have really land, technology, and townhouse center infrastructure.
Rather than townhouse, town center infrastructure.
Town center infrastructure. Okay. All right. So we've got the 3 goals.
And we do have
then-
some of
Go
the
ahead, John.
committees. Some of the committees are, I'm not sure how we blend that in, town properties, zoning, bylaw review. You know, we've got these committees that are a little different than the operational ones, like fire, police, et cetera.
I think you should have them start coming in again, like we can pick one and at the start of every meeting, get an update from someone different to hear more about it. I thought, just personally speaking, I thought that worked really well when we were doing that last year. We
Yeah,
always
for the
learned
first 10,
something
15
new that was
minutes.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We just got to make them aware of what we're looking for, you know, and I think you've done this in the outline.
Yeah, yeah, so that's the next thing, if you want to make changes to the suggested outline.
Okay, so are we all set with having these 3 goals for this year? The land issues, or land, technology, and town center infrastructure?
Yeah, I would think, you know, if it turns out we think down the road we need a 4th, we can always address it then.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. And then the land is quite encompassing with, you know, conservation and identifying parcels for affordable housing. So that's a pretty big goal. Okay. All right, so Liz had provided us with a template for department head board chair updates. Did you get a chance to take a look at it? And are you guys okay with it?
Yeah, I think it's a good start. Let's try it and see if we can, you know, I think at the end, it should be always the last address to them should be, what can the Board of Selectmen do to help you?
Mhm.
Then we find out. But this is a good start. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, Mark.
I had 2 possible additions under the one where it asks about where you stand on your budget, that is the percent used. I wonder about adding that if they're have overspent to date, what plans they are making to come back into budget. Maybe that's just a follow-up question, but I think what putting that as one of the questions implies to people, chairs and leaders, that if they're overspending, the next step is taking some action to come back into budget. So
I think that's a good idea. I think it also forces them to know where they are.
Yeah. And then the other one I would throw in there, it's a little different than the 2 initiatives or projects that they're working on, is to maybe 2 recent successes that their board, committee, or commission, so they get to use a Yiddish word, to cavell a little bit about what they've been up to, they've been successful at. So I just throw that out there as consideration.
I like those. John, are you okay with
Fine.
those?
Fine.
Okay. All right. So Liz, can you make those changes?
Yeah.
And then why don't we start, you know, get back into this at our next meeting, inviting somebody in. Maybe we start a list. Is there any preference for who you'd like to have first? John or Mark to come in and talk to us?
There's a couple of departments that,
You might want a department, because some of the boards and committees do take a little time over the summer to kind of regroup. So I'm wondering if a regular town department might be better.
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I think there are 2 departments that we might want in on a fairly regular basis, or even quarterly, which is fire and police.
Mhm.
Yeah. I agree with that. I would like to give police a little time. I would think a good first one might be the library. I am just totally blown away by the energy he's putting into this, and a lot going on over there. And I don't think we necessarily have visibility to it. We see them kind of one off on whatever, Plympton, Hilton, Plympton or something.
All right, that sounds good to me. Does that sound good to you, Mark?
Good enough.
All right, so we have our first contestant. All right. All right, so next item is the surplus property vote. So Liz, what was this?
So this is a list of property that Bree compiled, and the transfer station will assist us with disposing of these items. None of them are in a condition where they would be able to be sold. So we have 4 file cabinets, 2 shelves, 1 dehumidifier, 3 air conditioning units, 3 small desktop copiers, and 1 desk. So before we can properly dispose of those items, it does require a vote of the board declaring it as surplus and that it's able to be disposed of.
Any questions, John or Mark?
No.
No,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we declare the surplus property that Liz just read off, and on the list that was provided by Bree, or I'll declare that the property is surplus so that it can be disposed of by the town. Do we have a second?
am I seconding, second in open meeting?
Second, okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, all right. Bree, warrants paid.
Hi, sorry, I had to unmute myself. The warrant total, this is for the end of the year and includes also the insurance renewals. It's $139,723.52.
Thank you, Bree.
You're very welcome.
All right. Liz, town administrators updates.
So the highway department has awarded the bid for the pavement and road construction contract to TL Edwards. The Route 58 bridge that was in need of some repairs, it's a state project. Bids are coming in tomorrow for that work, but that's actually being coordinated through the consultant who is funded by the state. So it's not a town project that's out to bid, it's a state project. So more information to come on that. Work is going to be starting up shortly on the townhouse roof project. They're coming out to the site tomorrow to finalize a few things. And I did coordinate with the contractor and the town clerk's office because the clerk's office has a busy season coming up with the elections and everything. So initially the contractor had planned on doing some of the work on Fridays and Saturdays, but there are quite a few Fridays and Saturdays where the clerk's office needs to be open to conduct business related to the elections. So we've coordinated on that. And I did send an announcement out to all the town employees and everyone, just so people would know what was going on. And then also the gutters were being taken care of today at the old townhouse. So those are some projects that we've been kind of following for a while, but some good developments there. And then otherwise, the only thing we had in correspondence was just a follow-up notice from Eversource about some work that they're going to be doing on transmission lines in the Brook Street area. It's part of their larger project that encompasses work in Plympton, Kingston, Carver. So we receive those notifications on a fairly frequent basis. And that's it for correspondence.
Thank you, Liz. All right, next item, we've got the minutes from 7-Eleven. Bree got those to us. Any questions, concerns, or amendments to the minutes?
No.
I'm good.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes from July 11th as written.
Second,
Second roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay. All right. John Williamson, I see you're on the call. Were you here for the solar easement, or did you have something else that you needed to meet with us about?
I think he's calling in from his phone, so I'm not sure if he's readily available.
Okay. All right. Well, we took the vote on the easement, if you can hear us. So you're all set on that. The next item is we've got our next meeting will be August 8th, followed by August 22nd. And then we've got rants and raves, or I'm sorry, selectmen's raves. All right, I'll go first on this one. My rave would be the Plympton School Committee and how they frugally managed their budget throughout all of the challenges that they've experienced this year and are returning over $100,000 to the town. I think that's pretty amazing and definitely a testament to their management of the school and their fiscal responsibility. So thank you to the school committee for all your efforts to be as fiscally frugal as possible and still get the job done. So thank you very much.
Good.
John or Mark?
My rave tonight's for the Board of Selectmen, actually. We had some somewhat challenging issues tonight. It's been a interesting week in Plympton, helping Plympton with some relatively heated discussions and a fair amount of misinformation. And what came out of each of those is the opportunity to still be really proud of what we do and how well we do it, particularly compared to the challenges that the Board of Selectmen have in some other towns. So saluting ourselves and particularly saluting Christine and John tonight.
Thank you, Mark.
So I'm sorry to see we took off rants. We can't rant anymore. Am I going to be the only one?
Yes.
Yeah, probably, more than likely. My rave would be for the townhouse team. And when I say that, I mean, it's the townhouse center, the campus, if you will. I was in the other day and just walking around saying hello to everybody, and I realized it's really enjoyable the way you can see that they're working together. I'm sure they have issues where there's a little friction at times, but looking back from 6 years ago, we've made a lot of progress, and it's due to the people, and a lot of it's due to Liz. So thank you. And glad to see it. Hope we can see more.
Excellent. All right. So that's all we've got tonight. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good night, everyone.